Good to go. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 15th Select Board meeting. We'll open the meeting and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. Just a point of order for the minutes. We started the meeting at 7:05. Up first, we have some board and committee openings. Historic District Commission, we have 2 openings, a Board of Realtor and an at-large member. Conservation Commission, we have 2 openings. The Hamilton Housing Authority, we have 1 opening. And on our Human Rights Commission, we have 2 openings, 1 from the Housing Authority and 1 at-large member. And up next, we have our public comment section, 3 minutes for any individual to speak on any topics not on tonight's agenda if they wish to speak. And if you're online, I must mention, just please raise your hand if you'd like to speak, and we'll get to you. Joe, you see that?
Yeah, it's, we got 2 so far. We've got Lauren Lynch from the Conservation Commission. We have Carrie Jelsma, and we have Mark Maitland. So
All right.
we got 3. So
I think I saw Carrie's hand go up first, so. Hi, Carrie, how are you?
Hi, I'm great, thank you. I'm Carrie Jelsma, 35 Hilltop Drive, Wenham. Thank you. I'd like to share how much my family has valued Kestrel educational adventures and my thoughts about the many ways Kestrel adds value that's hard to measure to our kids, families, and broader community beyond Hamilton Wenham. With this in mind, I request that the town work to keep this great nonprofit at Patton Homestead available for all of us to continue to enjoy and benefit from. I understand their status may be up in the air. Our family knows Kestrel from a couple connections. Our son Cameron attended their survival skills camp, and several of his dedicated, caring teachers from the Landmark School are Kestrel instructors and board members. We have first-hand knowledge with their programming, instruction, and leadership. We believe all are excellent. When Cameron attended camp at Kestrel, he benefited in many ways. He gained knowledge about and appreciation for our natural environment. He had a great way to regulate his body and nervous system. He developed self-sufficiency skills and a sense of personal agency, not to mention had fun and made friends. He finished the camp with more knowledge, self-esteem, and good memories than he started with. We are all aware of COVID impacts on kids' mental health. In my practice and research as a social work student, I've learned about the documented and tangible benefits to our mental health from getting out into and experiencing nature, as most of us have likely experienced ourselves too. Kestrel is one piece of the puzzle that I think can help us all to continue to recover from COVID, including improving students' mental health. Kestrel creates a welcoming and affirming environment for all kinds of kids. It has unique place-based programming not offered by other organizations. Kestrel has woven itself into the fabric of our community. Their leadership, vision, and dedication has helped create constructive relationships with students, schools, families, businesses, scientists, and others across the North Shore and beyond to benefit us and our natural environment. I was happy to see Kestrel move to Patton Homestead. Because of the many ways Kestrel adds value to and benefits our communities, I ask you to please do what you can to support their ongoing residency at the homestead. Thank you. And I will also submit my son's written statement by email. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. I hope you're doing well.
Thanks, you too.
Let's go with Lauren next.
Thank you. For the record, Lauren Lynch, 62 Willow Street in Hamilton, Chair of the Conservation Commission. So as discussed during the last select board meeting on August 1st, the CONCOM has agreed to revise the conservation bylaw in 2 phases. And so I just wanted to provide an update here. Basically last week on August 10th, we voted to revise the phase 1 version of the bylaw. And I think I just hear a little feedback.
I think it's
So just to emphasize or reiterate what the phase one version of the bylaw looks like, the edits are limited to two things. One, addressing legal deficits present in the current bylaw, and two, aligning the structure of the bylaw with the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions model. And to emphasize here, the proposed phase one bylaw is meant to introduce no changes to the project review process, no changes to permitting procedures or expectations, and should it pass at town meeting, all procedures and processes within the Conservation Office would remain as they currently are. So I just wanted to ask three things of the select board tonight. One would be if the select board could individually or as a group provide written feedback on the proposed bylaw to the commission, ideally by next Monday, August 22nd, so that we would have a chance to review that feedback ahead of our meeting on Wednesday, the 24th. And then if also the select board could request other boards in town to do the same, so to review what we've put together and provide written feedback by next Monday. And then if the select board could also provide us with information about supplementary information that would be needed for the warrant, like a short paragraph or anything that's useful for the town meeting, that would be helpful. And that's all. Thank you.
That was a lot. Thanks, Lauren. Was I the only one that got that email? Lauren, when you sent the email today, I haven't looked at it from Brian too. Is that to everybody or just Joe and I? I can't.
Yeah, I think it was just you, Joe. And so I think if you could forward that on, Sean, that would be great.
Okay, I'll distribute that, and then
Okay.
I'll let the other two, or I should say Tom is online, I'll say that for the minutes. And I'll let Bill know to get comments into you by the 22nd. And I
Perfect.
think it's
Thank you
great.
very
I think
much.
this is a good direction to go in because it's going to get people at town meeting thinking about the next phase.
Great.
Reminder, we should take all votes as a roll call because Tom's online.
Yep, thank you. Thank you, Lauren. And we
Thanks.
had another hand up online.
Mark Maitland.
Mark.
Hello,
Hi, Mark.
my name is Mark Maitland, 14 Lincoln Road, Salem, Mass. I'm a board member at Kestrel Education Adventures at 650 Asbury Street, Hamilton, Mass. I'd just like to speak with you all to give a little bit of our perspective. Gifts that keep on giving offer a great potential for lasting impact. The Patton Homestead is a generous gift given from the Patton family to the town of Hamilton and has positively impacted generations to come as well as generations in the past. With its potent history, majestic landscape, and natural habitat situated on the Ipswich River. Mission-driven educational nonprofits are also gifts that keep on giving. In 2022, Kestrel's brought over 200 children to the homestead through its programming, introducing wildlife ecology, mapping, species identification, canoeing, nature skills, among other skills. Kestrel has also provided training for North Shore educators who have benefited from nature programming on the property, among other skills. Kestrel was recruited as an anchor organization to make Patton Homestead its headquarters. And the Kestrel team developed specific programming that would be mutually beneficial at the homestead. As an organization, we were really clear about our needs from day one, and that a co-working space was not what we sought, given the focus of our mission, providing educational programming for children. Various needs were discussed and agreed upon, including having a private office with heat and internet, 24/7 access, as well as access to a large indoor space for programming and at times of inclement weather, a semi-private bathroom, and storage space. These basic needs were not initially met, and as a result, some programs needed to be canceled, specifically a rare turtle raising program involving 4 local schools as well as a college. There were months of challenging communication related to the agreements around these needs, and many of these elements of these agreements never materialized despite our constant advocacy. As a small nonprofit, we have had to use significant time and resources to navigate and solve these ongoing issues. Most recently, we have been advocating to stay on the property after being asked to depart well before the agreed time frame. While we now have been told we can stay through December 1st, the vision of Kestrel being an anchor organization and the homestead being our headquarters may no longer be a possibility. We still hope that we can find a path forward and work with the town. It's really a beautiful space. We love it. it's a disappointment to have to part ways with a space that we had hoped to provide a long-term opportunity for growth and community engagement. We share this with you today with hopes of community advocacy from leaders in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else wish to speak?
No other hands.
All right. All right, up next, we have select board members and town manager reports. We also have a department head report coming up from Mr. Olson. Jamie, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
All right, Caroline?
I do not.
I'm going to say I do not too, if everyone else is doing that.
You may.
Joe, do you have anything to add?
I do not really. I have, the town manager report will be shared with you all tomorrow and then to the public on Friday. Don't forget you have Tom here. I will just say that for all the people who've been asking, I unfortunately do not have any additional update on the cell phone tower. We have been told that Verizon is still telling Everest, who is the owner of the tower, that they expect to be on air in September, which would mean that that keeps with their projected August build, but we're midway through August, and they're
They
not
haven't
here.
knocked on the door yet.
They haven't come in. They could roll in. They only need a couple days supposedly to install their equipment, so they got the permit, the building permit, so it's really just a matter of when they show up, start doing the work. I don't want to promise that they're going to be done by the end of August, because I don't want to read the tea leaves on that. But we're being told still, consistent asking, when are you coming?
Right.
And we're told we're expecting to be on air in September. That's the only answer they provide. So,
Right.
I wish I had better news.
Well, that's news. Similar news. But, Tom, do you have anything to add?
No, nothing from me. Thanks, Sean.
All right. All right, Mr. Olson.
That Olson.
How are you tonight?
Good. Thanks for having me. Tim Olson, DPW Director. Come before you every, I don't know, a couple times a year, answer any questions you have, bring you up to speed on some projects. I have a lot going on. Maybe the best way to do this is if there's any, maybe I should take some questions if there's specific projects you want me to talk about. Or I can do a run-through, but sometimes I get kind of lengthy. So I want to try to make this as the best for both right here, so.
I'll start off by saying in my selectman report, one of the things I probably should have mentioned is that the chair of Manchester's select board called me the other day and we chatted, and they would like to bring the article that previously went to their town meeting that failed back to their town meeting in November, beginning of November. So Tim and Joe and I are gonna have kind of a discussion about how that will look if we do that. That's my 2 cents.
Happy to have that conversation.
Yep.
Indeed. So, I mean, I can go down through some of the projects that I'm working on. Right now, obviously, more concerning is our drought conditions that we currently have. I just want to touch that real quick. I appreciate everybody's help and support in the community. It's a state-declared level 3 drought right now in Hamilton. We do have a water ban on all non-essential water. We are seeing some benefits at the plant. We are getting desired power stops or downtimes at the plant, which is a good sign. And it just is evident that people are cooperating, participating, which is greatly appreciated. Really not any weather in sight. I think we're supposed to get a little bit of rain maybe tonight, but nothing substantial. So we're going to be in this for a while, unfortunately. But I appreciate everybody's support on the drought and trying to conserve water as much as possible. So we do have a large project at the filtration plant. The GAC filtration plant project is underway. Currently, all the foundation is poured and backfilled, and a lot of the site work is completed. The utility lines, the raw water and finished water are all put inside the building. I can go into the weeds on it, but I'm just trying to give you some highlights. We are getting ready for the building. We are still a ways out for the building, as well as the large components, the filters, the media. Looking like a fall, maybe early winter completion on that project. But everything seems to be going well, and we just are waiting the main equipment coming in. So any questions on that one? Stop me. Feel free to interrupt me, obviously.
None on that one. Jamie?
No.
Caroline, Tom, anything?
Another main project that I was assigned to do is the Asbury Grove backflow. We had a bid back, I believe it was in February. That bid, we could not get it done and completed by the springtime, so unfortunately, the low bidder could not hold the price to the fall, so I have to put that back out for bid. The plan is to be out for bid on September 8th, or bids are due September 8th, and then I think it's probably going to be like a November project.
How many
is what I'm
bids did
shooting
we
for.
get on the first round?
I think we got three.
Three.
So. So we're just, trying to hit a date there, off-season date, prior to the winter really setting in, to get the work in and done and connected. Still trying to figure out the Essex Street drainage issue over near Appaloosa. There's a constant flooding problem over there, and I'm working with some contractors as well as some consultants to try to figure out a game plan to try to capture as much of the runoff from the high part in Essex prior to getting to that low spot, as well as working with the developer in that property on 470 Essex, working to hopefully get a construction temporary easement and then a permanent easement to capture the water in the low spot where everything wants to run to, and obviously off the roadway, so to reduce the flooding in that area. That's a work in progress. I'm still trying to figure out the planning. I thought we had a good plan for some of the work on Essex Street. Unfortunately, the ledge as well as the water main is fairly shallow. So what we had currently designed and planned, we're having to redesign a bit to accommodate the conflicts there. Chabaco Road, that project has kind of been put on hold. We have a meeting this week with our consultants as well as DEP to talk about, there was an appeal filed on our amended order conditions. So we have our first kickoff meeting, I believe it's this Wednesday, with the group, and we'll talk through those details, and probably more coming after that Wednesday meeting. The recommissioning project at the Public Safety Building, we're looking at a variety of upgrades. We did receive the grant, full grant, the ask. It's about out of a $164,000 grant, we got about $120,000 to use at the Public Safety Building, which would be for upgrades to the HVAC system, as well as some weatherization upgrades to the building envelope. A variety of things that have either over time failed or were not designed appropriately back in the start of that, in the beginning of that building. So that's a great help for us to hopefully put to bed some of the ongoing issues that we've had at the plant, or at the PSB. Patton Park master plan project, I just actually completed a first draft of the RFP, handed it over to Sean Timmons, the rec director, for him to take a look and provide his comments. Once I get that back from him, we'll finalize and put that out for consultants to put a proposal together. I'm thinking that will probably most likely be out in the fall, work through designs and finish in spring of next year. DPW garage updates. I am working on an IFB invitation for bid for the bay doors, as well as a new roof on that project. The roof is more critical at this. If I have to pick two, I'm going to start with the roof. Obviously, getting into the winter season, I'd like to get that constructed before then. So that should be out probably within a week or two on the street for advertising, followed closely by the bay doors.
Is it asphalt roof now and you're going rubber or something like that?
It's a tar gravel roof, and I think I'm looking at alternatives right now. There's either rubber or PVC, or there's another alternative that was just brought to my attention. something to maybe, another option to look at for that type of application, so. Sagamore Street, we do have an issue over there near the Ipswich line. Not sure if I've kind of had it on here. The road's settled. We have an old stone culvert, pretty deep in the ground, probably about 8 feet or so, that one of the stones, the top stones, has dislodged. So we're getting some settlement in the road. So that's going to be a DPW project. We're going to be able to open cut the road, hopefully make that a permanent fix there, and use the existing stone culvert. If that's unsuccessful, then it would be more of a capital project and replacing the stone culvert with a new box culvert, which gets very pricey. So we're trying to go through this level of effort first and see how that all shakes out. So the lead and copper project that I was working on, we did receive a proposal from a consultant, and we're looking to have that article at town meeting as part of our grant application. So it's pretty thorough. I'm not sure, I think there was a copy, I'm not sure if we've
Haven't
given a
given it to
copy.
them. I got it
I'd
from- I
be
got it
willing
from
to
Tim
distribute that.
Late last week. We'll have it for the select board to
Okay.
consider on the
Yep.
7th
So
of September.
it's pretty, it's actually not, it provides a nice summary of what the new regs are going to be and what our responsibilities as a town will be for that, to be in compliance. Winter treatment techniques, I just want to let everybody know that we have outfitted both our sanders with sprayers as well as tanks. We have a large, not sure if anybody's seen it, but it's a large orange batch tank in the back. We're gearing up for this winter to have some de-icing applications prior to using rock salt, which will decrease the amount of rock salt, but also allow us to pre-treat our roads, to allow us to go even further as temperature decreases. Rock salt doesn't become as active, and so using the de-icing agent, either spraying the rock salt itself or on the roads itself, creates an activated salt de-icing agent to help break up some of that and provides a
Just
safer.
lost some-
Oh.
Hold on.
Pause 1 second.
I don't know why we lost it.
It just disappeared all of a sudden.
We're gonna have to start over.
Yeah,
No, you won't. No, you won't.
Almost done.
Still seem to have a cell signal, so I don't know what happened.
Oh, they can still hear and see us on Zoom.
Okay,
Okay, so
That's,
I'm
just
uncomfortable.
let everybody know that for some reason,
we've got
Zoom
some,
on our
I
end has
guess,
failed. We're trying to get
hall.
ourselves back in.
All right, so we'll try to get that back up for anybody that needs to talk on Zoom in the meantime. All right.
Yep, it's just a
Thank
few
you.
others. We just completed our annual line painting. I'm not sure if people have seen, we've dressed up the roads with the yellow and the white, and we are continuing our crosswalk painting to have it done prior to the school starting this fall. And then I just wanted to give an announcement for anybody that's not signed up to Code Red. Please do so. We've had a series of general messages or emergency messages if we have some water situations. We're not going to use the B word out right now because that's forbidden to use, but if there's a situation in our water system, we'd like to use that as a portal to notify people. We are finding that a lot of people are calling in that are not receiving either a message or a text or an email or a phone call. So just make sure everybody does get on Code Red. That's a great avenue for us to use, and I can fine tune it into different neighborhoods or townwide, but just a kind of a word of advice, that's a good avenue, and that's a place, that's one of the systems I do use to get the word out.
How does one sign up to join
On
CODAG?
our website, if you go all the way down to the bottom left, I think it says mobile alerts, and I think that's how you get to it. And then there's a series of either texting, emails, of, home phones, whatever way you want to be notified. I think I have it coming to everything, to be honest. So just whatever is useful to the person to get that message. But it's a great tool and channel to use. And I think that kind of the highlights, maybe one that we've talked about briefly last meeting was the fuel facility. Just something to keep in mind. I am actually working on hopefully another quote, a carrier for insurance that will be far less, hopefully, than what we've received. And possibly that might be something that the capital committee and I discuss coming to the annual town meeting again. But that problem's not going to really go away.
No.
So just to keep that in mind.
All right. Any questions or comments?
Not really. I appreciate you running through all that. Since Bill's not here, should we ask about sidewalks?
I could talk about sidewalks. I have been just kind of waiting on, with the limited amount of funding that I do have, wanting to prioritize. Chabaco Road's been on the list for a while. I was kind of waiting on, see where that project falls with the financial commitment. But I do have some Chapter 90 money as well as some town money to use. Unfortunately, the work today is very expensive and it won't go too far with the funding that is available. That said, I do actually have a plan to have our DPW as well as a senior that's interested to come in and look at each intersection in town to go through a planning stage of where sidewalk is and is not, where access ramps can be located. Curb, if there's any kind of curb issues, settlements, things like that. So they're going to take actually every intersection and map out, and then we're going to put that into our GIS system
Right.
to
And
build
I
up
think
projects. So
you and I talked about it before because we've had I don't know how many years ago it was that we did our kind of road assessment.
yeah,
Is
it's
that
been
4
I think,
years ago or something?
yeah, it's been about 4
5.
years, I think. Yeah.
And that helps us know that cadence of what we need to do with kind of our least nice roads, I guess, for lack of better. And I think that tying that into our sidewalks, where they are, where they aren't, where they could be, which ones need to be fixed, and tying that in with our stormwater management plan, all that kind of stuff all goes together in the same folder in my mind, so.
For sure. And the work that we've done, even following some water projects in Forest Street in that area, I've been able to update the pavement plan all along. So it's up to date. The roads are continuing to age,
Right.
which is the issue. And costs are hard to predict right now. It does give us a nice tool of where we are rating-wise. But there is a lot of, if you look at it, there's a lot of work to be done, and obviously you have to prioritize, and you can also use it as a cost-benefit analysis, so you can see what roads are more, based on a lot of formulas, what roads are more important to the community, based upon travel and what type of designation the roads are, things like
Yeah.
that. So.
How are we with Chapter 90 money right now? I can't remember.
Chapter 90, we're in good shape. I did reserve some for Chabaco. If that project is going to move forward, I'd like to use that. If not, we may be able to put some projects in front of it, depending on timeframe and
Gotcha,
where we are after the appeal is resolved.
right. To be determined.
Yep.
Any other comments, questions? No? All right, thank you so much, Tim. Appreciate all that you do.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we have our consent agenda. Approved minutes of June 5th, 2022 Select Board Workshop. approve minutes of June 21st, 2022 Select Board meeting, and approve a request to hang a sign for the book sale at the library, I'm assuming, right? That was part of the,
I believe the sign would be,
sign would be down,
I believe the sign will be, it's in the packet, I believe the sign was gonna be,
forget where it's gonna go.
gonna be hanging on Bay Road, right?
Yeah, I think so. Is it in Winthrop, that thing, or was it,
Yeah, at the,
On Route 1A.
on Route 1A.
right, the one we share with the senior center in
Senior
Winthrop?
Center, right. Yeah, okay.
All right, does anybody want to make a motion to approve those 3 items on the consent agenda?
I move that we approve those items on the consent agenda.
Anybody second?
Second.
All right, and we're working on the Zoom thing?
Yeah, we've lost internet functionality, so we can't get Zoom back until we get it back in. I've got Andy Wood working on it right now. If somebody wants to have Tom call my phone, I can put him on speaker and he can continue to participate.
Zoom's still going in here.
Yeah, it's, I
Really?
have internet.
I can't get it,
Yeah.
Caroline.
I can still hear and see. I don't know if you can hear me,
So
but
Zoom's-
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I can hear you too, Tom. Okay,
I
that's
can still
great.
hear you, Tom. Okay, that's good,
Yeah,
that's good to
you might
know.
not be able to add
We just can't see you guys.
All right,
yeah, I can see and hear everything.
all right, perfect.
So, Tom, can I ask that while you're seeing and hearing everybody, if you see anybody on the Zoom put up their hand or want to be recognized, could you let us know? Although I won't be able to recognize them, I guess, but if you could let us know.
Have to do it
Yep, sure, I can do that.
out loud.
All right, so let's take a roll call vote since Tom is remote. We'll start with Tom.
Tom Myers, aye.
Caroline?
Caroline Beaulieu, aye.
And Jamie?
Jamie Knutson, aye.
And myself, aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Up next, we have our agenda. First up, we have discuss and vote on award of recent ban offering. We have Peggy here tonight. Come on up, Peggy.
Oh, I love signing.
And actually, I think you're the clerk?
Correct.
Oh.
She gets to sign all the
In
fun stuff.
in name only.
The vote of sale of the ban.
Out loud?
Yep.
Right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. There it is.
See, you got your
Okay.
dramatic reading after all.
Oh,
So do you want to give your spiel and then she can say it, or do you want her to say it
Well,
first? It's up to you.
we had 3 bidders.
Mhm.
BNY Mellon Capital is who we went with. We got,
And Peggy, can I pause you for a second? For folks at home that might not know what a ban is and what we're doing, can you just give it a,
ban anticipation note.
Top.
It is, we're going out for money, for bids for the water treatment plants and the town building, anticipating of bonding in future when we're ready and prepared with all the projects to move forward. So this is giving the town the money to go ahead with these proceedings and get everything in place so that Tim and the town can get their projects done. So in order to do that, it has to be voted on by the selectmen, and then I have signature pages, quite a few that you all need to sign, and then Corinne and I will sign and seal them tomorrow.
perfect.
And we did end up with today a net interest rate of 2.9787 with the rates right now, that's not,
That's not
not
bad.
terrible.
we did
No.
pretty good,
Well
I
done.
think,
Well done.
so.
All right, you ready, Caroline?
All right, y'all ready for this? Do. All right. I, the clerk of the Select Board of the Town of Hamilton, Massachusetts, certify that at a meeting of the board held August 15th, 2022, of which meeting all members of the board were duly notified, at which a quorum was present, the following votes were unanimously passed, all of which appear upon the official record of the board in my custody. Voted to approve the sale of $2,666,767 3.5% general obligation bond, anticipation notes, the notes of the town dated August 18th, 2022, and payable August 17th, 2023, to BNY Mellon Capital Markets LLC at par and accrued interest, if any, plus a premium of $13,868.12. Further voted that in connection with the marketing and sale of the notes, the preparation and distribution of a notice of sale and preliminary official statement dated July 19th, 2022, and a final official statement dated July 27th, 2022, each in such form as may be approved by the town treasurer, be and hereby are ratified, confirmed, approved, and adopted. Further voted that the town treasurer and the select board be and hereby are authorized to execute and deliver a significant events disclosure undertaking in compliance with SEC Rule 15C2-12 in such form as may be approved by bond counsel to the town, which undertaking shall be incorporated by reference in the notes for the benefit of the holders of the notes from time to time. Further voted that we authorize and direct the town treasurer to establish post-issuance federal tax compliance procedures and continuing disclosure procedures in such forms as the town treasurer and bond counsel deem sufficient, or, if such procedures are currently in place, to review and update said procedures in order to monitor and maintain the tax-exempt status of notes and to comply with relevant securities laws. Further voted that any certificates or documents relating to the notes, collectively the documents, may be executed in several counterparts, each of which shall be regarded as an original and of all which shall constitute one of the same document. Delivery of an executed counterpart of a signature page to a document by electronic mail in a PDF file or by other electronic transmission shall be as effective as delivery of a manual executed counterpart signature page to such document. And electronic signatures on any of the documents shall be deemed original signatures for the purposes of the documents, and all matters relating hereto having the same legal effect as the original signatures. Further voted that each member of the select board, the town clerk, and the town treasurer be and hereby are authorized to take any and all such actions and execute and deliver such certificates, receipts, or other documents as may be determined by them or any of them to be necessary or convenient to carry into effect the provisions of the foregoing notes. I further certify that the votes were taken at a meeting open to the public, that no vote was taken by secret ballot, that a notice standing the place, date, time, and agenda for the meeting, which agenda included the adoption of the above votes, was filed with the town clerk, and a copy thereof posted in a manner conspicuously visible to the public at all hours or in the municipal building that the office of the town clerk is located, or, if applicable, in the accordance with an alternative method of notice prescribed or approved by the Attorney General as set forth in 940 CMR 29.03 parenthetical 2, parenthetical B, at least 48 hours, not including Sundays, Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays prior to the time of the meeting, and remain so posted at the time of the meeting, that no deliberations or decisions in connected with the sale of the notes were taken in executive session, all in accordance with GLC 30A, symbol 18-25, as amended, dated August 25th, 2022. Did y'all get all that?
I missed the second, no, just kidding.
Which one, voted or further voted?
No.
Okay.
Anybody want to say so moved after that, and then we can,
I move to approve
You were moved, you mean?
the vote as
You did a
Caroline
very
read that.
impressive job reading that.
Caroline, you want to second that?
Second.
Perfect. Any further discussion?
I'm just glad we brought the dramatic reading back. I think
my
this
God,
should
time.
definitely be something that we do every meeting.
I'm going to try to do it every week, Tom.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would prefer that. I actually just had one question. How is the premium calculated?
How is it calculated?
Yeah, I was just wondering where that number came from.
Well, they started with a coupon rate of 3.50, and then the premium rate is what they offer, and that's where they come up with the net interest rate.
Okay.
And it's just each bank comes up with what they decide to offer you as a premium. Newport Savings, that went into the bid, they didn't even offer a premium rate. So they
Okay.
just went with a flat rate of 3.27. So each bank does it differently.
Makes sense. All right, thank you.
Yeah,
Just curious.
no worries.
All right, any other questions before we?
Do you want to sign them all now, or do you want me to just leave this with you and?
Why don't we vote, so it's official, and
Oh, I thought
then
you
let's sign them and move on.
Okay.
All those in favor, say aye. Start with Tom online.
Tom Myers, aye.
Caroline Beaulieu, aye.
Jamie Knutson, aye.
And myself, Sean Farrell, aye. The ayes have it, motion carries.
So
Thank you,
there's-
Peggy, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Peggy did a lot of work looking all this stuff up.
Well done.
Figuring it all out is a lot of paperwork.
So then, I don't know if you want to start,
I'll start and pass it around.
yeah, it's on the select board, but there are a couple other pages, just you.
If it's okay, I'll take this opportunity to explain a little glitch we have going here. So for some reason, the Wi-Fi network that I was on crashed, kicked me off of Zoom, but it kept the Zoom meeting going. And now I'm trying to get back into the Zoom meeting, to which it tells me that I have to wait for the host to let me in, but I'm the host. So the meeting's running. Everybody at home that's participating via Zoom can see us and hear us. We can presumably hear them if they speak up. Unfortunately, I have no ability to control the meeting at this point,
Okay.
other than to just turn everything off and start all over again. So I don't know what you want to do. This is the first time we've had this problem under my watch, I'm just gonna say.
Right. If you bring up Zoom and reopen the meeting,
Then everybody that's out there would have to
I just admitted you.
you just admitted me. Hey, look at that.
well, let's see.
Just telling me you will let me in soon.
Thank you,
I'm
ma'am.
not in
This
yet.
is yours as well.
Try one more time.
A pen?
Okay.
And all of you online, thank you for your patience.
I also no longer have access to the internet for what it's worth. I know you do.
Mine is, it's spinning right now.
Yeah.
Andy's blaming me because I had a bunch of windows open, so
Yeah.
use that bandwidth.
I just, no.
But I've closed them all now.
What happens now, y'all?
Yeah.
What? Oh, see, it was, look, this is a function. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. So if they can see and hear us, we should still wait, is what you're saying?
We're just gonna try to get in one more time, and if
Trying to do
it
that
can't
right
work, we'll just plow ahead.
I know Bill would rather not do that because it really messes up his.
Perhaps we could play some 2022 street list trivia.
Yes, it's trivia time.
So Hamilton Wenham Cam is listed as the host. So is there someone logged in as the Hamilton Wenham
Bill's
Cam
trying to
that could let Joe in?
so that we can,
Bill's trying to let me in now, so hopefully.
we're trying a few different approaches, I guess.
I did email Lock and Lord Joe to make sure the signatures would be okay.
And what is that?
I
Haven't heard back?
haven't heard back.
Okay.
The bond itself, the bonding itself was authorized by the town meeting
Yeah.
already, so it should only need a majority action of the select board. If, for instance, the board had voted 3-2, it would have still passed, so I would think that the three would be
Right.
fine. It doesn't require a supermajority vote, so if you've got majority, you should be fine. Yeah, Bill, I didn't get that, but again, that could be related to internet troubles.
Thank you, Peggy. Just check them before you walk out.
Could you check your email?
It's come up on my email on my phone, but it's not come up on my email on my laptop, which isn't gonna help us.
Yeah, the internet isn't working for those of us with laptops.
Thank you all.
So we have had issues at Town Hall recently with the excess demand of power. It's caused us to have our Wi-Fi fade in and out at times during the workday, so.
There was no, the
Thank you.
previous
Thank you,
master
Peggy.
plan committee, we didn't have internet either.
So that, this could be a function of that, although National Grid had been working to improve the power source to the Town Hall. If the grid's overtaxed, it might not matter, so.
But those who are currently online can see and hear us, and if someone raises their hand, Tom can see that they've raised their hand.
Correct.
And can be called upon.
Yep.
All right. Let's move ahead while Joe's still trying to figure it out, so.
I'll keep trying to troubleshoot this, but
Up next, we have discussion with the Athletic Fields Improvement Committee, HFIC.
Hello. Thank
Hello.
you, everyone.
Hello.
So I'm Tim Fazio. With me is Peter Gordeau. And we will try to give you guys an update and answer any questions that we can on the current project that is hopefully going to be ongoing very quickly at the high school. Actually, are you able to put the slide up, Joe, or is it?
We're trying to join
yeah,
right now.
okay.
We'll see
You
if we
might
can-
be getting lucky, Tim. It might have taken you to get up and need
Excellent.
something. Says we're joining the meeting.
If not, I can do my best.
Holding up the
Vanna
slide
White,
deck.
yes.
Oh.
Looks promising.
Post. Hey. Okay.
Look at that.
Here we are. And do you have share capabilities?
There's the mom talking. Is that signaling our imminent demise?
I'm trying to.
A few thousand. On a night just like any other.
Click on that microphone. Tell me what I do is something. Okay, you should do your screen. I think you joined it online, that's why. So click. Cancel.
Yes.
Well done.
Thank you, Bill.
There we go.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. All right. All right.
So I've got Bill's view of the meeting, not my own view of the meeting, so I can't share because it wants to share his stuff on his computer, not off of my computer.
Uh-oh.
Can we share it with Bill? And then have Bill share it? Mr. Melville? Do you think that he's having trouble sharing because he's got the view through basically your computer, I think? Is that right?
I think he went back to the host.
I reclaimed host, but I didn't, but whatever I did, I'm showing your view.
You're sharing your screen, it looks like. I'm not sure. Because you're on the web, right? You're on a web browser doing it?
Right.
So now you have to hit the, you want to show a document?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you have to click down the bottom where it says share.
Yep.
And then see how it says Windows? So what do you want to share? You wanna
Gotcha.
share- Yeah, right there and then share.
There.
That's why they pay you the big bucks, Bill. Thank you.
Should we play Sweet Caroline for the 7th inning and just
Yeah,
maybe,
we
like,
do
get
a
up and-
seventh inning
get up and
stretch.
stretch?
I think we're almost there. I'm praying to God we're almost there. Is it in the packet? You can just show
I
the
think they
packet.
see that when
It's in
you,
the packet, but it's not gonna be oriented right. I need to get what.
The one that was emailed earlier,
Right.
the one, there was one emailed today, right? Yesterday or today?
Peter emailed it, he emailed it a little while ago, so if I get it there, follow it up here.
Just for the record, the Zoom meeting cannot see the screen.
Yeah,
At least I can.
we're getting there.
Yeah. No.
You all see that now?
I don't think so.
So is that in a Chrome tab, a browser tab?
Yeah, it looks like.
Yeah, so when you share, instead of sharing a window, see where it says Chrome tab on the far right? Up.
Go up. Ooh. That's,
Ooh, that's fun.
that's a nice effect.
Okay,
Right.
share, instead of,
Yeah, so on the far right,
okay, gotcha.
Remember when I predicted this would be a shorter meeting
and then,
tonight?
yeah, that was you, and then you said I'm gonna jinx
jinxed
it by saying that this is a shorter
Here we go.
meeting.
Here we go.
All right, can you folks online see it?
Not at the moment. I just see a black screen that says, oh, there it is. We got it.
Okay.
You
Okay.
got it?
Yep.
Yeah,
Zoom in out a little bit, Joe.
And how beautiful it is. Well done with that opening slide.
The floor is yours, gentlemen.
Yes, thank you very much. And we'll buzz through it, but if you have any questions, obviously stop us. So thanks very much for having us. On behalf of all of the folks, and there are really too many to name that are working on this project, thank you for the time tonight to give you an update and hopefully answer any questions that you have. As you can see, sort of, if you move to the first slide, Joe, please. Our project goals are sort of relatively simple and straightforward, but incredibly meaningful. For a long time, and folks like Peter have been working on this project for probably a decade to try to bring the necessary updates to our high school fields at the regional. A lot of these points they blend, but the basic premise is we are really sort of failing our communities, both towns, our kids, our parents, our just sort of pride and everybody that touches this community, whether they're relatives that come into town, friends, on the basic setup of the schools and their athletic facilities and the pride and the sense of community that they bring. The first bullet speaks to bringing the students back on campus. Our championship tennis team this year doesn't play in our town. Our championship soccer team often has to forego playoff games on our own home field because the home field is not viable for a statewide tournament. We have people that are teams that travel to practice all over the Cape Ann League. We rent out space at places. We don't have that sense of everybody is here at our school and working together. Because of that, you see that the next point is the town experience. We are, through the incredible work of the rec department, Sean Timmons, Danielle Kiley, and others, we are very lucky to have some tremendous town facilities that get used, but they get used too much. We rely way too much on the town for what really should be part of our campus school community at the high school. If we are able to get things back to the high school, that frees up a lot more space, not only for youth sports, but lots of other community athletic activities at the town fields. That moves into the next point. And then following that, and this is something that is a little more for Eric Tracy and others in the school to address specifically, but this is now becoming a serious problem for school accreditation. There was a recent review. I don't know what the end results are yet. I'm sure Mr. Tracy will update everybody, but it's not good. This is not a good look for our school. It's not something that the people who are looking at things like this are looking for in our education, and that can impact our students in the way that they can apply to other schools for college or anything in the future. And then back to my original point, the entire package just speaks volumes to, our pride in our community and what we show the world that we think about where we live and go to school. And so now if you flip to the next slide, and we can keep this up, and I'll go through the other slide just for your information. This is the current project plan. It is comprehensive. The idea is that it is much more cost-effective and seriously decreases the disruption in student learning and everything that goes on if we do the full project at once. You'll notice the stadium area. It's the same area, same basic footprint with enhanced stadium facilities, track, amenities building, et cetera, that goes into a stadium that is good enough for the modern athletic high school activities that we expect. The field would be a turf field, and you'll see that the track and amenities is extended to the upper right a little bit, and there are other track amenities around the stadium. The baseball field to the right is turf. It is a full brand new field that also has the ability to be practice field and game field for all kinds of other sports. Lacrosse, field hockey can be used by soccer, as well as by the way, the stadium field is for soccer and other sports as well, not just a football field. It's a multi-use combination field. The tennis courts right above, I believe we can get 4 courts in there, which is fantastic to keep our tennis team on campus. And for those that are aware of that area now, there's a Project Adventure course there that should not be impacted. If it is, it's going to be a minor impact. We are cognizant of that. And then if you look in the upper left where the current softball field is, that will also be completely redone and made into a state-of-the-art softball field. Also turf, also with the ability to put practice fields on there in the off-season for other sports. All of these fields will have new lighting, which is incredibly important. As we all know, it gets very dark here very early, especially in the fall. And for safety of the athletes, not only playing the game and trying to make sure that the games are completed, but also when everybody's leaving. It gets dark, students are on campus, there's lots of driving. It's important to get those facilities lit. Yep. So this is just for those of you that are looking at it. I just sort of walked through these pieces. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Peter to talk about the current state of the project finances, unless anybody has any questions about the current facility pieces at this point. Okay, thanks very much.
He always gives me the easy part. I'm Peter Gordeau, 416 Bridge Street in Hamilton. So we have been working with Gale Associates. They're an engineering firm. The town has a fairly long history with them. They've been involved in this project for, I would say, probably 8 years. We initially did a feasibility study as early as 2014, and they've been updating that and enhancing it since then. So the estimating that we have is from Gale. It's based on their market knowledge of other projects that they're involved in. Currently, everything that you saw on the screen is with appropriate contingencies and design fees and everything else, works out to somewhere between $12.5 and $13 million. That's a number that we will refine as the drawings get refined and as we get closer to actually bidding the project. We expect that the funding will come from 3 sources: the community in terms of by way of a debt exclusion, and from private donations, individuals and corporations and others making contributions towards it, as well as any state or local grants that we can get. In local grants, we would consider CPC, those sorts of grants. We assume that this is obviously a Hamilton and Wenham project. One thing to keep in mind is we do have a little bit of seed money, if you will. The patent fund was set aside 6 or 7 years ago. There's approximately $500,000 in that account, and it's got some complexity in that we need to figure out how to have Wenham match it, but that's what that money is set aside for this purpose. Next slide, please, Joe. So the components of the project, with Gail's estimate, the general conditions, and I'll just go through these quickly. General conditions, I'm sure you all know what that is, but it's sort of the fixed costs associated with running a project. It's time-based, it's supervision, it's the toilets, it's the trailer, it's that kind of thing. Erosion control and site prep, there's some demo associated with the existing project, taking up the track and that kind of thing. The track and field would be approximately $2.5 million. The baseball field, another $2.5 million. The 4 tennis courts are a bargain at just under $300,000. The softball field, making the softball field into a turf field, is $1.2 million. We've set aside an allowance for a storage building, upgrades to the press box, and an amenities building. An amenities building might have the snack shack in it, or bathrooms, that sort of thing. So we've set aside an allowance of $1.5 million for all of that, for a total of just shy of $10 million. On top of that, we have a 20% contingency. And for those of you who aren't familiar, a contingency is we're at a very early planning stage here. We don't know what we don't know. We're setting aside a pot of money to deal with some of those refinements. We've also set aside a 9% allowance, or excuse me, a 9% allowance for escalation. You all know we're in the construction industry, costs in the construction industry are a little bit crazy right now. I think that, we hope somewhat that will slow down, but we've set aside 6% per year, and assuming that we have 18 months before we'd actually go to bid on this. And we're carrying soft costs for design fees of $250,000. So that all comes to just shy of $13 million. This does assume that we take on this project in one phase. We did look at different ways to approach this, and we came to the conclusion that the most cost-effective approach and the best way of meeting the school's goals was to take this on in one project. So just a little bit of an update as to where we are. We met with, I apologize, there's a blank there, but we met with the school committee on June 16th. We presented a very similar presentation. We made a recommendation that this be approached as one project, and they unanimously voted in favor of that. The way the finances are being broken up is, I sort of think of it as 1/3, 2/3. 2/3 on the public side, 2/3, would be the debt exclusion, 1/3 would be private, fundraising, CPC, and truly private fundraising. So call it, 8 and 4, 8.5, 4.5. Those are the ratios that we'd be looking at between public and fundraised. The administration obviously has a number of projects on its plate, potentially a new elementary school, a new roof at the high school, other projects like that. So we're working with them. We want to make sure that they are comfortable, that they can, call it afford the school's portion of it and represent that to the towns. So we understand that's still a work in progress. But Eric seems quite confident and I think prioritizes this project. He understands that our facilities, as good as they've been over the years, are currently in rough shape and behind virtually all of our Cape Ann peers. So our hope is that we would be able to come to the town meeting in the spring of '23 and actually ask for this project to be approved. We hope to come for 5 minutes this fall and just be able to give town meeting a quick update that this project is alive and moving forward. We've got an awful lot of work fundraising-wise to do between now and then, between now and next spring. But we've got a great group of people working on it, and it's this having been involved in this for a long time, the project has more critical mass and energy than I've ever seen. So next steps, go back one, Joe. So really the first one ought to have a check next to it, because I think we've sort of dealt with that with the school committee. We are very much engaged in building a fundraising organization and beginning to prepare for private fundraising. We obviously need to, we've communicated consistently with the CPCs. We need to continue to do that. We'd like to come to you in the fall with a quick update at town meeting. Or excuse me, we need to make a fall school committee update and just keep them informed. We have the 75% drawings, which I would call design development level drawings, are in the process of being completed. We intend to proceed to permitting this fall. The project was permitted in a slightly different form once previously. We've added the softball field. There've been some other changes, tennis courts. So we need to go back and re-permit those elements and make it one comprehensive project. And obviously, we'll continue to refine the budget estimates and the timeline. In terms of the timeline, I described it a little bit earlier, so I'll go quickly. We would complete our engineering this fall. We would undertake our permitting this fall. We would make brief presentations at the fall town meeting. We'd come to you. We would hope to come to Springtown meeting. After which, if assuming it was successful at town meeting and at the ballot, we would then proceed to release the construction drawings, and it would get bid in probably the first quarter of 2024, with an expected start as the school year ends in the spring of 24, and completion sometime that fall. The way these projects run, the school typically loses one season of home play on the fields that are affected. And you get as much as you've done in the summer as you can, and maybe it gets done on October 1st and you get to play a couple of games at home. But we're assuming we lose one home season. And that's it. We're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Peter. I appreciate it. I know that you've been involved in it over a decade now, probably, is my guess. I can remember rec meetings with you and other folks and my wife trying to get the ball rolling, and it...
My kids were all playing youth sports then, and now they're all graduated from high school, so.
I appreciate you sticking with it. So have you filed the... I remember years ago, we had talked about a 501(c) or whatever. Has that been filed yet?
It has, all the paperwork is sitting on my desk. It's all ready to go. We have not filed it yet. We do have an EIN.
Okay. And then the next question is kind of follow up on that. I know with the school committee and your group, there's this kind of interesting relationship because they can't do the fundraising. So are you going to kind of reorganize the group a little bit to have a fundraising side versus a school committee report side?
Yes. So the group that's already been happening, a separate group. We've got a group made up of 3 or 4 or 5 core members plus half a dozen key school personnel. We seem to be meeting, that group seems to be meeting once every 4 to 6 weeks, and I'm going to call it the operational importance of that group will tail off. They'll continue to be an advisory group. There's a separate group meeting, which is really a fundraising group, pulling together all the marketing and communications and fundraising capabilities that we need.
Okay.
You'll see some familiar faces from prior town projects.
Yeah. And then the revision on the plan, you said there's some revisions to it. That was the tennis courts was a bit of a number shuffleware and how many they were in the softball field. Does that address all of our, I'm assuming it does because you're in kind of the weeds to it now, but all of our Title IX issues that from the first Gale Associates kind of plan, we've addressed everything like that?
Yes.
Perfect. Your fundraising target is $2 to $2.5 million from whomever, and part of that, I'm sure, is contingent on, and I can't remember if the school committee has addressed all of the kind of signage and naming rights to things. Has that all been figured out yet? Because that would be a big factor in your donors and what they want to donate.
Conceptually, the need for that has been raised and conceptually, concurred with. We've drafted a much more concrete, detailed naming rights proposal that talks about which elements might get what kind of names, and it doesn't yet talk about pricing because we don't necessarily understand that market yet.
Right.
But, so that's circulating amongst our group and does need to go back to the school committee. I think Michelle had talked with the school committee chair about going back early in September with that.
Okay, great. You answered the construction timeline for me. And so in that off-season, you'll just find other campuses to play on or rent from Pingree or whomever in the area?
They'll
Is that-
probably play extra away games that year,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Okay,
One thing that has happened is that we've talked to, the athletic director, Craig Genowaldo, who has all the other Cape Ann League schools have gone through this before.
Right.
And so all the other ADs are very sympathetic and,
Right.
allow all road games to be played.
right,
So
right. That makes sense.
That should not be a problem.
And then I guess this, when you ended on the problem there, the problem sometimes is with, I think Hamilton is ready for this project. I think the Wenham citizens are ready for this project. I'm not sure if the Wenham administration is ready for this project. I know you've been trying to get on their agenda and it hasn't quite happened yet. And I know their CPC is a little bit, or a lot of it, resistant to giving any monies. Do you have any ideas for crossing those hurdles?
Well, just from my perspective, I mean, I think that in the presentations that I've had before the CPC and in what we've spoken with the select board at Wenham, I actually think that we've got a lot of really smart and dedicated people on both boards that I think will see that this is a really good project and probably have more questions that just need to be answered. And that's our job. We have to make it, do a better job of communicating with them and partnering with them. But I actually don't foresee a huge problem. I think this is something that everybody will get behind when they get the information.
Right, thank you. Any questions from Jamie or Caroline or Tom online?
I just wondered, the ongoing maintenance costs, do you expect them to be up, down, or the same as far as factoring into year-over-year school budgeting after this project's complete?
Down.
Down.
Yeah, typically higher first cost for a turf field, lower, no fertilization, no water, no mowing. Does require, you have to brush it, and it does require some maintenance, but it's not nearly as much.
Does it kind of follow up on that question? And I don't know what we spend, royal we, I guess, the school spends, and we still spend it from citizens' money, but on that kind of maintenance, because I know you have to replace, I'll call it the carpet, the turf itself, every 5 years or 6 years or something like that, I think is
probably
about the
closer to-
average, right? Is a little more than that now with technologies,
Right.
but, and last time I knew this is a decade ago when we first did the feasibility study and the plan, it was about $400K to replace that carpet. I'm sure the price has kind of gone up, I'm guessing, with everything else gone up. Is that a break even with the maintenance on the grass field versus the turf field that you're kind of, and does the school committee and you, as the kind of subcommittee, have a plan for kind of encumbering or building up that kind of money and anticipating that 10-year, 7-year carpeting of the turf? Have that discussion happened yet?
That discussion really, that discussion needs to happen. I don't think we've focused on that adequately yet. We do have numbers from Gale that are older regarding that, the cost benefit with numbers, and we should update that and bring that to you, because those numbers do exist.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things that you know is inevitable that you're going to have to replace it after X amount of time. So planning accordingly with a capital plan is really key to
Agreed.
upkeep, right? I mean, that's why we're here in the first place, so upkeep. Jamie, any questions?
So, and I appreciate the point about it'll take pressure off the town fields, town resources and things. What's the, I guess, expectation about whether the town would actually be able to use some of the high school facilities?
Sure.
And middle school, I guess, right? Middle
Yeah, it's all part of the same campus. There is an expectation that the town will have a lot of access to it. It's obviously something that has to be coordinated with the athletic department. They are schools. You can't have people there all day during school hours. And then the teams get priority right after school. But there will be plenty of other opportunities to have free use of the tennis courts, to be able to have people on the track, to be able to actually have some youth sports use the facilities as well. You know, the use of the taking of the youth sports away from some of the town fields as well will alleviate some of that pressure and allow citizens to use, of the community to use the town fields as opposed to going to the high school as well. So it really should be a very useful project for everybody in town. Even if it's not that site use, it'll help free up use at other sites.
Right, and I think if I'm right, the original Gale, I'll call it plan, had a lot of that data in there. I think you worked with Sean in getting how many times their fields are used, when they're used, and there was that percentage. And that might be something, if you're not planning on it, we're sharing, you're doing a lot of kind of PR marketing on your website. I would kind of show field use currently and how that shuffles and helps the Patton Park and Pingree Park and all that kind of stuff with alleviating some of that overburdening.
One of the things that happens is there are lights on a number of these fields, which obviously just create more hours in a given day, which is perhaps the most useful thing from my perspective.
Yeah, I agree. And have you, speaking of lights, have you addressed that with any of the abutters yet? I know the last time we kind of went on this merry-go-round with lights at the high school, it was not accepted.
We have not yet talked to the abutters, and again, I think that's a really important thing because, you know, personally, I think that and I'm gonna speak for myself, not for the committee, but I think that the compromise that was reached last time took away some of the utility from those fields, and that I think that there ought to be, perhaps, that some of that ought to be reconsidered.
I agree. Tom, online, any questions from you or comments?
No, nothing else for me. Thanks.
And again, we have a few people online. If you're wanting to speak, please raise your hand. Same with folks in the room. You don't have to raise your hand. You can just come to the podium. John.
Hey, folks. Thanks very much. John McGrath. I'm a member of the FinCom. Just to echo what I think I heard Sean say is we would be wondering what the impact is of the project financially. And currently what we're looking at on the FinCom is pretty healthy capital appetite across the town and the schools. And we're looking out 5 to 10 years. So when we go to the voters, what we need to be able to do is to say, here's the project, and here's the financial impact to you, Mr. or Mrs. Taxpayer. So we generally translate a project into impact on tax rate. So I would be really interested when we have a chance to talk about this in more detail as to the financial impact over a number of years, so that comparison between current maintenance of fields versus this new project, I think would be an important element. So appreciate Sean bringing that up. But generally, the FinCom would be interested in, you know, translating the project into impact to the taxpayer. And that's sort of what our role is on this. So, and we're doing the same thing with this coming meeting that we're going to have with the school, you know, so we're looking at a pretty big menu of capital items coming down the pike, and we need to be really straight up with the taxpayers. What's it going to cost them over the next you know, X number of years as they look at all this. So anyway, just some thoughts, early thoughts on impact. So that's all I had. Thanks.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Much appreciated for the update, and keep in touch.
Will do. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, everyone.
Thank you. All right. Up next, we have discussion and possible vote on Asbury Grove water billing proposal. Tim, if you want to cue this up for us, that'd be great.
Tim Olson, DPW Director. So over the last, I would say, good period of time, we've been trying to work alongside the Asbury Camp Meeting Corp to try to investigate and better define their seasonal section of the Grove, regarding the water billing, how it's billed, what is currently on the seasonal master meter, what's not. So we've taken some time working with them. We had some, I think, 3 or 4 items that we wanted them to complete prior to looking at a new billing structure. They have done that. I think I gave everybody the memo. I'm not sure if everybody's had a chance to read it, but it kind of outlines the where we were, where we've been, and where we are looking to kind of change up that structure for the seasonal section. So in summary, the way we currently build, the seasonal section is we bill whatever usage is through the master meter, the MUDGE meter I call it. That gets billed full tier with individual infrastructure costs per each unit. What we have done is been able to separate the pool by putting in its own meter, but that use still goes through. Goes through the master meter itself. So what we would like to do, and this is something, like I said, we've discussed with the Asbury Camp Meeting Corp., is change the structure. There's currently 90 seasonal cottages. We would like to change the structure to include the full use through the master meter. It would be then, the pool meter would then be taken out of that up front. The remaining use would be then divided by the 90 cottages, would create a per cottage use.
Right.
That would then be a per cottage infrastructure fee would then be added to that per cottage use to develop a per cottage bill.
Right, so like a typical, not that they're not typical residents, but like a typical residence.
Typical residents, yeah, they're not able to have.
Even though it's one bill though, but.
And it would still get sent back to ACMC.
Right.
Right.
The advantage here is it basically takes advantage of being able to provide the cottage users to pay at the lower rate that everybody else uses, as opposed to the accumulated
higher rate, yeah, right.
massive rate.
Right.
So I'm sorry to step on Tim here and step in, but just it would make it really similar to what we do for the Hamilton Housing Authority, and therefore, more consistent.
Right, consistent with what we have in other properties that are similar, even though no one's really similar.
So the previous board had discussed this at length. There were a number of things that we needed, Tim outlined them in the memo to the board, a number of things that we needed to accomplish to be able to get to this point, but the Grove has done all of those things that we asked them to do. This is kind of the last step to kind of close out that discussion on the appropriate way to bill the Grove in light of all the changes that they have worked to make with us.
Right. Anything else to add to that?
And then the pool would be a separate bill.
Right.
Based, because it is not domestic, it's more of a luxury, that would be based at the high rate.
Right, and that's got its own meter.
Has its own meter now, correct.
Functionally too, it would provide the Grove Board the ability to show to their seasonal users, some transparency. This is why your bill is this for different things, because it includes this amount of water bill, this amount of whatever. So,
And
it seems to make sense to me. We've talked about it previously, so.
Correct. Yep. Now everything has been completed. We are able to manipulate the billing system to accommodate, and that would be reflective on the next
billing cycle.
Sure.
Any comments or questions for Tim? Or in
I
general?
mean, I read it and it all seems to make sense. And thanks for the work of everybody that went into it. My only question is really like a process question. Do we need to vote to just say, yeah, we like Tim's memo, or are we making some official pronouncement?
I'd ask that you vote as water commissioners to approve Tim's proposal for the process for billing Asbury Grove for the seasonal use. That would include everything on the master meter. And if you could have a vote to that, you go to the water commissioners, you kind of make that decision. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it will be, but I just want to make sure like it's,
Unless
there's a librarian or whatever that's keeping track of all this, like this is how it's done.
Right, and to your point, Jamie, I don't know if we necessarily need to make a policy, right?
It's an operational
It's an
decision.
operational
You are the
thing.
water commissioner, so
Right.
any change that we're gonna make to the way we build
It's gonna
people,
come back
we
to
should
us
come-
as water
we should
commissioners.
run it through you.
Right, right, and it would be as part of our kind of, when we do our review of water rates and everything, it would be,
Yeah.
we would include it in there as part of the whole package, I would assume.
Correct.
Or I would hope so.
It's just a different way of calculating.
Right,
But bottom, obviously, they're going to get a quarterly bill. It's just how we calculate that bill.
right. Anything else?
Nope.
Caroline?
No.
Tom?
No, no questions. Just seems like a lot of work went into this. So nice job, Tim. Seems like a thoughtful process. So thanks for updating on this and all the work you put into it.
Anyone else wish to comment? I know we have a few folks here. I'll take it.
Don't say thank you yet, they
No,
haven't voted.
don't thank us yet, we haven't voted on it. Then you can thank us.
The water is cut off to the 94 out of season, correct?
There's not,
Or the 90 plus,
So the
The three
Grove,
and-
the Grove chooses to turn off the water beyond the master meter to the cottages. But there's no requirement for it. The town doesn't do it. There's no ability for us to do it.
and there's only a handful year-round
Right.
residents.
The water is actually active through the meter to, there's a hydrant
Yep.
up on the hill. That water main stays live for fire protection purposes.
Yep.
There's branch lines that come off of that main that they turn off themselves, come whenever season, November, April, November, whatever.
Okay.
That's a more of a internal.
they make that choice. Okay.
Does anyone want to attempt the motion that Joe suggested?
Move that we approve the recommendation of our Department of Public Works Director in the memo dated August 10th, 2022, regarding the Asbury Grove seasonal water billing structure.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, if no further discussion, say aye. We'll start with Tom online.
Tom Myers, aye.
Caroline?
Caroline Beaulieu, aye.
Jamie Knutson, aye.
Myself, Sean Farrell, aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Sorry, Asbury Camp Meeting Corporation.
Perfect.
The name.
That's true. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
All right, thank you.
Up next, we have discussion and vote on request to close Railroad Ave for local HW Street Fair on September 18th, 2022. Hi, Shelby.
Hi, my name is Shelby Thompson, and I'm at 16 Hamilton Avenue.
And I'm Jan Sulman. I'm at 30 Parsons Hill Road in Wenham.
And Jan is here on behalf of local Hamilton Wenham, and I'm the event planner for the Fall Festival that's coming up in September. So Jan and her colleagues have hired me to help plan this event. So we just are here to talk about the event, and we have a few other requests to close the street. So in case need a refresher, Local Hamilton Wenham is a 501c3 Main Street certified organization that supports the Hamilton Wenham business community through collective, regional promotion, and collaboration with stakeholders to foster networking and community engagement. And this Fall Festival offers an opportunity for local businesses to be supported by the community after the pandemic, and it provides a platform in which local business owners can be visible to the larger community. So the date for the event is Sunday, September 18th, from 12 to 5 p.m., and we're expecting about 1,500 people. So this event is important because it makes our business community visible to the people who can support them the most, providing them with a willing audience for their offerings and putting local businesses on their radar for their daily shopping choices. It also connects our businesses with our larger community and provides a deeper experience for both residents and purveyors. So this event is going to have pop-up vendors, music, beer and wine, food, desserts, entertainment, and we're also planning to dedicate the Willow Street Flats, or the HTC is. So our ask is for permission to close off Railroad Avenue between 1A and Willow Street. We also ask for the approval of the one-day liquor license for Essex County Brewing and Cellar Door to offer alcohol in a secured and gated beer garden at the Willow Railroad Southwest parking lot. And we also ask if you could champion this event and welcome the community. That's our current event map on the screen. And what we're asking for is the two red marks. One will be the fire truck and one is the police. And so that's the area that we'd like to close off. We'll leave the 13-foot opening on the street needed for a fire truck to get through. And we're expecting 40 pop-up tents. I don't know if anybody has any questions about the design.
Coordinated with the police.
Oh, yes.
Been talking with them about it. So this is the third or fourth year that we've done this. And the community really likes it. It's been a really good, a good program for everybody. It's great success for the business owners and the community. It's a great way to bring everyone together, particularly after the pandemic. But yeah, we work with the police the police department. They're on board. Yeah.
The organizers actually met jointly with Shelby, with the whole public safety team, DPW and Recreation, to kind of work through the plan. They did express some, reiterated the need to be a little, or not a little, but to be very cognizant about the way the beer garden is run. There was a little bit of feeling that last year was a little loose, so we're going to tighten it up. It's going to be better. The application for cellar door and Essex Brewing is already in the town manager's office and has been reviewed and approved by public safety and consistent with the select board's giving me the authority to sign them. Those will be signed, so.
And so we're obviously voting on the request to close Railroad Ave, which you've already talked to Lieutenant Janes or Chief Stevens or both about that.
Yes.
And that's clear because you've done it before, so it's
Captain James.
Captain James, sorry, excuse me. Forgive me. And with talking about the beer garden, did you figure out kind of a plan to help police that area more when you had your discussion?
Yeah, one of the things is going to be the vendor that's in charge this year. Essex Brewing is going to take a more active role. It's their service, and they'll have a presence at the gate to make sure nothing leaves.
Okay. Perfect, so it's on the vendor then.
Okay.
And we'll also have more, what do you call it, fencing? But a perimeter that's
Or clear
yes,
delineation.
and clear signage as well, to say you cannot take this alcohol outside the beer garden.
Right.
Per the request of the police.
Right.
Signage is key because the police really feel if there's no clear signage, then somebody
Right,
wanders
it's
out,
tough
they
to
can say, "Oh, I
enforce
didn't
if
know."
there's-
So
yeah.
we have to have clear signage so that they can then enforce as well. So
Wasn't
we'll
there
have-
also like sort of one at TM Landscaping too, and that got a little confusing?
Correct,
Yeah,
that is not this year.
That's not happening
So
this year.
this year, the footprint of the event is just on
On this
Railroad
side.
Avenue, not Community House, not across the street, just in
It's
the,
scaled down.
And is this showing that it's a one-way street going this way, but the police barricade you have on the other side of Willow? So is Willow shut down in that through direction or no?
Willow will not be shut down. However, we are going to talk to the police about allowing for people to cross the street to go to the businesses across Willow Street.
Oh, Spirit Tree and.
Houndstooth.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, our kind of concern last year with the TM thing was that people were crossing the
1A.
street and the drinks and the whole thing. It was.
Beer in 1A, it's just, it's just a thing.
So you said this is scaled down, obviously, because your kind of geographic area is scaled down. But hopefully it's not scaled down in everything else fun that's going on, right?
Correct. It is not scaled
The
down.
fun will be ramped up.
Good, that's what we
We have
want.
more fun per square foot.
Okay,
That's
perfect.
what we're looking at.
Perfect.
So are those vendor
Cram it all in
spaces
there.
next to the vet new?
No, they were there last year.
They were there last year?
Mhm.
I wasn't paying enough attention, clearly.
I guess not.
And it's on a Sunday, the 18th, right?
That's correct.
And what are the hours?
12 to 5. The beer will be served 12:30 to 4:30.
And are you doing any kind of like a press release, local marketing stuff? Can you give some of that to Joe to put on our website in some
Sure.
capacity?
Yes.
Kind of our events about town stuff?
Yeah, that'd be
Yes.
great.
Any other questions? Anything from you, Tom, online or anybody else online?
Nope, nothing else for me. Thanks.
If you have a motion to close Railroad Ave, I'd ask that you close it beginning at 10 to give the police time to clear paper out, at least at 10, maybe even a little earlier, and, with it to reopen at the close of the event at 5 o'clock.
Did you say so moved?
So moved.
Did you say second?
Second.
Perfect. All those in favor, say aye. We'll start with Tom online.
Tom Myers, aye.
Caroline Beaulieu, aye.
Jamie Knutson, aye.
And Sean Farrell, aye. So we've got the closure down now. One-day liquor license. How do you want to handle that? Same?
You've authorized the town manager to approve those. They're accepted in the town manager's office. Lori's already reviewed them. I think they're just awaiting my signature. I wanted to make sure that this happened before we did that, but
Is this part of their multi-license?
no.
So we don't need to do anything?
Nope.
I like that.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to a wonderful event.
So are
Thank
we?
you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your help.
It's gonna be awesome.
We're going to entertain motions to table the next meeting.
What's next?
All right, up next, we have discuss and vote on revisions to Hamilton's flag policy proposed by town council consistent with recent attorney general rulings.
So we had an issue in that town council, unfortunately, edited a previous version of the flag policy, not the one that the town, that the select board had previously passed. So if the board wanted to move to table this, then we would have town council correct the.
I'd like to table this.
Okay, tabled. If I might let Mr. Blake, since he's been sitting here all night, give us his 2 cents and give it, make it brief, Tosh, and we'll take it into account when we talk about it next time.
Okay, so I'm just to clarify, I think last time I was here in June, you had something on the screen and you had I think you had agreed on a policy.
Right.
And so what's the status? The town council is saying there's a problem with it, or?
No, since that happened, the Attorney General had come out with a ruling on a different case that suggested some minor modifications to it, but basically supporting the ability to have such a policy.
Okay.
So town council did not have the version that the select board had actually voted on that night. It sent us a marked up version that we need to go back and marry the two so we get the right version out. So rather than vote on something and have there be a lot of doubt as to whether or not we're voting on the right thing, we'll fix it and have it back. And
do you know how soon that'll be, or?
hopefully by September 7th, because we really thought this was already behind us.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be mostly a housekeeping thing, Tosh. You're welcome to come back
Okay.
and speak to it, but I don't know if there'll be any substantial
Okay,
revisions to it.
so I have a couple things that I guess, as soon as you do have a final one, will you post it somewhere easily accessible on the town website so we can see the text of it? And I guess one thing, as I was thinking about the how it was written before with the one you approved, I think that the general sort of like guidelines or the requirements generally were going to be, I mean, I guess you have complete discretion anyway, but it was going to be major holidays and approved holidays, and you guys are going to try to stick to that, I think?
I don't think mention of it wasn't
It was like,
No.
I can't, Jamie, you might know the wording off the top of your head since you looked at it so many times, but I can't remember it.
it was like
Yeah,
national. and-
Mainly that it's going to be an affirmative, anything is going to be an affirmative decision of the board. There is no preference or anything for, for holidays or anything
Okay.
like that.
I was maybe just recalling something about national and state official things as part of the text, but I guess it's not binding to those.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, and it's just, I guess one of the, because it did mention the holidays, but was not binding, because I think one of the things was, there was one of the last times it said no religious flags, I think. I don't know what the rulings, maybe, I'm not sure what AG case you're talking about relating to that, but I think that's one of the things that got Boston into trouble with the Shirtlift case is, it was, well, can the government say no religious flags, even if, they have the right to, the government has the right to say what it wants. But there was sort of a question of discrimination in that. And I think recently the Globe said the Boston did actually end up flying that Christian flag with a cross on it. 2 or 3 weeks ago. And, but they still, even Boston still hasn't finalized its own flag policy. They're still trying to figure out how to, iron out the kinks and so to speak. But, so I think that might be just the thing. If you say no religion, it may be discriminatory. I don't know what the latest case law is.
Right, we'll have to look and review what town council has said and get back to it.
Yeah, because obviously like, Christmas would be one of the major officially recognized holidays. It'd be kind of odd to say, well, you can't have a Christmas flag if you're having a flag for, Pride Month or Juneteenth, but say no religious flags. It is a nationally recognized kind of thing. So it could look either anti-Christian or anti-religious in general.
I think it all comes down to the bottom line when we wrote the policy was the board's discrimination, right? I mean, that's the end all. Just
the board, exactly. The board's discriminating. Kidding. No, but yeah.
You got it stuck in my head now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Where Boston got in trouble was that they didn't really have a policy. They just were, they took everybody until there was one they didn't like, and they didn't take that one. And that was where they got in trouble. The idea of the policy here is to keep us from doing that, is to make sure that the select board makes the decision every time. And they have discretion to make that decision every time.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess there was another, sort of nuance to that where it did also look discriminatory based on the flag they chose not to allow. So just, I don't know if
That's an interpretation made by some people, but not necessarily what the court found.
Well, the conservatives of the court definitely were concerned with that and did write about that. So, Breyer didn't write about it, but certainly, I think Alito and others did. So,
Joe, what was the version edited by town council? Was that posted on the website?
It was posted as part of the packet.
That's part of the packet.
As part of the packet.
So I think as part of the packet, you can go and see, and by the way, at least town council's recommending, whether we adopt it or not is a different question, but he's recommending removing the references to not flying a religious flag or whatever. But the main point of it all is that this is not a free speech zone. So Boston, they open it up so that, by their inaction, that it turned into a zone for free speech,
right.
While the Supreme Court affirmed that in most normal circumstances, when the government chooses to fly a flag, it's not a free speech zone. It is government speech.
Right. I think they're trying to work out, not to keep it too long, but they're trying to work out, how much is it generated by members of government, like the sort of requests or decisions? Is it strictly the city council of Boston? Because there will be pressure, and even you've said that anyone can kind of appeal to any board in town, including the select board, for a certain flag. And so you kind of in the old sort of bind where you still have to edit. Now, ultimately it'll be decided, okay, we, as the government, approve this flag that was requested, and others will be denied.
Yes.
But
I think we've been very clear about that, though.
Yeah.
That it is not public speech, it is government speech that is determined 100% by the elected officials of the town.
Right.
Yeah.
We've been very clear about that.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's kind of a gotcha around here, but that was the whole Boston thing, is that they said it's free speech, and then when it's free speech they didn't like, they said no, and then it became discriminatory, and it went to the Supreme Court.
Right.
To avoid that, we have made a decision that our flagpoles are not free speech. They are government speech, which means we are the 100% determiners of what goes on those flagpoles as elected officials.
Right. Okay.
That's it.
That is the policy.
Right.
So, Tosh, I would suggest that if you haven't looked through tonight's packet.
Yeah. Now, how do you look through the packet? How do you?
You can go to our agenda online on the calendar.
Okay.
And then click on the meeting packet, and it'll have the agenda and all the stuff that we've covered today.
Oh, okay. And it'll have the last thing you voted on.
Yeah, so do that. Do your
I'll do
homework
that,
and
yeah.
then
Okay, I
come
didn't know
back.
there's a packet involved. Okay, good. All right.
And it'll get posted before the next meeting, the
Yep.
updated, the correct version for them to consider.
Yeah. And it
We
just-
post it usually by Thursday for our Monday meeting, so it should be online.
So in the future, though, if someone just wanted to find Hamilton flag policy, will they have to try to find the meeting it was discussed, or?
Once this is amended.
It will be in our policy
It'll be in the
section.
policy
Section under the select board?
Yep.
Oh, awesome. Okay, good.
Yep.
That's good to know. All right. Thank
All
you.
right, thanks,
Yep.
Tosh.
Thanks, Tosh.
All right, we have review and discuss proposed open meeting minutes policy.
I'd like to table this.
Okay. You're on a roll. To be determined on that. We've got some more kind of conversations to have about it. but we're moving in a hopefully positive direction. Review and discuss proposed town manager goals for 2022-23.
Are we prepared to have this conversation tonight?
We could have it, but Tom is online and
Bill's not here.
Bill is not here.
I'd like to table it.
All right.
Okay.
Review the draft warrant.
So you had in your copy of your packet a draft warrant. We got, obviously, you're still filling in some blanks and such, dollar amounts and whatnot, what bills are gonna be in the, stop share. What bills will be in the, unpaid bills of a prior year, things like that. But this gives you a lot of ability to look at, the kind of formation of our warrant for this year. And just keep in mind that the school-related articles, 2 of them we still are waiting on MSBA to say, yes, that's exactly the way we want you to say it. But given that they're based on their templates, we're confident that they're gonna be okay.
Yes, hopefully. And
Do you want me to share that up?
What is the important meat of this section for us for a conversation tonight?
I just wanted to make sure you had it and let you know that we'll be sending it.
it's just kind of like a first glance at it.
Okay.
And basically, I like to kind of give it a quick skim to see if there's anything that's typo, outstanding, or whatever, the numbers aren't filled in and stuff that will come. But mainly kind of looking at it and looking at the summaries and
Yes,
seeing if it's kind of what we want to say. Usually they're fairly straightforward, sometimes they're a little more nuanced, so kind of working out some of those summaries if they need to be adjusted a little bit.
I mean, Tom and I will schedule our wine and warrant.
Yeah, exactly.
This year and the FinCom usually does a thing at the,
Yeah, the FinCom, do they have a kind of a deadline for their recommendation book?
So, yeah, they'll,
I'd like to see it before
John
it goes out.
McGrath wants to speak since you're.
oh, John.
Hey, John, do you know that FinCom, I know you're putting one together, but I'd like the select board to see it before it's printed in the warrant. We're not gonna have really any adjustments to it, of course, but I just want to be able to see it before we send it out.
Yeah, Christina's also on, I think, but we are meeting tomorrow. And this is great that we're getting it this early because we wanted to start to prepare comments.
Yep.
And obviously we need to vote on each one of the items. So I guess my question would be, are there any other articles lurking that would be included that you folks know about? Is there anything like a work in progress that's not in the warrant?
No. So A, no. B, the board voted to close the warrant, so unless they reopened the warrant, they wouldn't be able to add anything else.
Okay.
We're not anticipating anything like that. It is too late for a citizen's petition article because that would have had to have been done before the warrant closed.
Yeah.
The only thing I could see potentially happening to this warrant is there may be an item or 2 that gets pulled.
Right.
But that can be last minute. It could go out and be pulled on the town meeting floor.
Right,
So,
you can just take no action on the floor if you
so
need to.
Yeah.
just those-
Yeah, so the only question I had, then I can, I'll be quiet, let Christina talk. I'm wondering about the strategic plan item. And when are you folks gonna vote on these? So I'm just trying to line up that item, but then also broadly, when are you folks gonna vote on each of these?
As soon as possible.
I think
Next meeting?
the goal
Or
is September,
Yeah.
the goal is the September 7th meeting because I think it's that week. we
Starts
want-
to get tight after
Yeah, well,
that.
that week, we want to be able to try to get it finalized into the printer and also have town council start to work on the script. Because the next meeting is is actually a little over 3 weeks away. And that puts us a little under 4 weeks from town meeting. So
Right.
we need to get it voted on at that meeting and to the printers the following week. So that it can be in residents' mailboxes prior to town meeting on October 1st.
Christine, any comments or questions?
So I know sometimes we've had a joint meeting to vote on things together. It seems like we have enough time to do it.
Just thinking the same thing.
We don't need to.
I don't know if we necessarily need to, because I think we've got enough kind of runway here that we can formulate independent decisions or whatever. However it works out, I'm fine with it, but.
Yep. So we have a meeting tomorrow night And then we have a meeting on the 30th. I think we should be able to vote on the 30th.
Okay.
And if you guys are then voting on the 7th, that
Yeah,
should be,
That seems to work fine.
work out okay.
That would be great. That'd be very helpful.
And then I think we don't have to have our book of recommendations done as soon as the warrant is done.
No.
Right, Joe?
Not as soon as the warrant is done, but by the time we send it to the printer, so.
Yeah.
I can confirm for you tomorrow. I don't have the schedule that we had talked about for town meeting prep in front of me, but I can confirm, Christina, for you to, before your meeting tomorrow, kind of what our deadline to get it to the printer is. And let you know.
And then Christina, when you kind of have it done, if you could distribute it to us, that'd be great.
Yeah. Historically, that has been like down to the wire before we send it to the.
Yeah, I know.
But maybe we'll be a little ahead of the ball this time. Ahead of the ball or behind the ball, I don't know where you want to be in relation to the ball, but. Yeah, we sure will.
All right, any other comments on our draft warrant, folks? Tom, anything from you online? I'm sure you're reading it right now.
Nope, nothing for me.
Okay. Any new business?
Not for tonight.
Not for tonight, all right. Good answer. Tom, anything from you? I'll take that as a no.
No, nothing for me. Sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, yes. I will add some new business. We may have a potential need for an executive session coming up, just to put that in your.
So there's a potential litigation coming that I'd want to make you all aware of. I can't say any more at this time. But your next meeting isn't, as I said earlier, till September 7th. I think it likely that I should have the ability to, with town council present, brief you on the matter, just to make you aware of it.
Yeah, I don't think if we do have it, it won't be a very long meeting. Like,
You know,
I know I always
every
say that,
time you
but
say
I
that.
know. But I think we're talking, I would say less than an hour, maybe even half an hour, because they just didn't update in a whatever, so.
I think that means 3 hours.
Well, if you do a dramatic reading, Tom, it may take a little.
Yes, I'll read that. Yes, whatever you need, I will do a dramatic reading.
So our next meeting is the Tuesday after Labor Day. 'Cause Labor Day is-
Wednesday.
Oh, it's Wednesday.
Because
Wednesday.
Tuesday's a primary day.
Tuesday's a voting.
Got it.
I remember we had that
And
weird shuffle.
we're gonna, I gotta be honest with you. If this board wants to go all remote that meeting, I might suggest it because we have several boards all meeting
trying
that
to
day.
meet.
ZBA has a meeting that night, the planning board has a meeting that night. I think we might be best served by being all remote and leaving this room for somebody else.
Well, somebody's going to have to watch The Bull You Child that night then. We'll just bring it. No, I'm kidding.
I used to bring my kids once in a while.
Yeah.
They'll do fine.
But it's up to you. You can determine
All right, let's-
not to and make the others look for a home elsewhere, but that's just bring that to your attention.
ZBA, planning board, and us, right, are the three?
And all three meet in this room typically, so
Mhm.
two of us are gonna have to opt out.
Planning
let
board is
somebody-
still fully remote, I believe. They have not gone back to a
so
physical.
Are you shaking your head at the remote, Bill? They're
Yeah.
hybrid.
Are they hybrid?
The board has been in here, and the public and consultants, et cetera, have been hybrid, have been remote.
Gotcha, like the school committee's been doing somewhat. Okay. Would anybody be opposed to that as a remote meeting?
No, I feel
I'm
like
fine with that.
we're shorter winded when we're remote.
Yep. You okay with that, Jamie?
I will do whatever the board
Wishes.
wishes.
All right, I think that's probably the game plan. Let's tentatively do that then. All right, any other comments before someone closes this meeting? Anybody want to go home? Motion?
I'm going to back to an intense ping pong tournament, so that's why I appreciate the early release here.
Tom, you want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor,
We're gonna give that one to Jamie just for.
say aye. We'll start with Tom online.
Tom Myers, aye.
Caroline Volue, aye.
Jamie Knutson, aye.
And Sean Farrell, aye. Thank you, everybody. This concurs our
8:59.
8:59.
Well done.